Hi, my name is Miss Sauter, and this is a flip lesson all about four of the major body systems. We'll be covering the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the nervous system, and the immune system in this flip lesson. Before we get started, please make sure that you have your journal with you, open to your body systems foldable. As you go along, the structures will be displayed in the video, but you will have to listen for the function of each system, and you're going to write both of those in your foldable as you watch the lesson. By the end of this lesson, you should have four new body systems in your foldable. Feel free to pause or rewind if you think you've missed one. We're going to start with the very important nervous system. How do you remember your way to your friend's house? Why do your eyes blink without you ever thinking about it? Where do dreams come from? Well, your brain is in charge of these things and a lot more, pretty much everything. Your brain is the boss of your body. It runs the show and controls just about everything you do, even when you're asleep. Your brain has many different parts. There are five main parts. The biggest part is the cerebrum. The cerebrum is the thinking part of the brain, and it controls your voluntary muscles, so basically the ones that you choose to move. So you can't dance or kick a soccer ball without it. And your memory and reasoning also lives in your cerebrum. Next, the smaller is the cerebellum. The cerebellum is at the back of your brain below the cerebrum, and it's responsible for making sure you stay upright, your balance, your movement, and coordination. Connected to the cerebellum at the bottom of those two is your brainstem. Your brainstem is the connection between your brain and the rest of your body and is in charge of all the functions your body needs to stay alive, the things that you don't think about doing. It also receives all the messages from your nerves throughout your body that travel up through your spinal cord. Your nervous system is made of millions and millions of neurons, which are microscopic cells, and each neuron has tiny branches coming off of it, and they all connect to one another. When you're born, you came with all the neurons you will ever have, but many of them weren't connected, and every time you learn something, messages travel from one neuron to another over and over, and your brain starts to create connections or pathways between the neurons. So maybe you're doing that right now as you watch this lesson. The brainstem connects your brain to very important organs such as your heart, which is part of the circulatory system. Your heart is beating right now. It is always beating, and you don't even have to think about it, which is nice because if you didn't have your heart beating, you would be dead. So we are grateful for that. This system is responsible for transporting blood, which contains important nutrients and oxygen throughout your body. The engine of this system is the heart. Your heart is really a muscle. It's about the size of your fist, a little to the left of the middle of your chest, and it provides your body with oxygen and nutrients and carries away waste. Your heart is kind of like a pump. It's a muscle, and it receives blood from your body and pumps it to the lungs on the right side, and on the left side it does the opposite. It receives blood from your lungs and pumps it out to the rest of the body that needs it to perform cellular respiration. Your heart is made up of four different blood-filled areas, and each of these is called a chamber. There are two chambers on each side of the heart. So the major structures here also include valves that work like doors to make sure the blood moves in the right direction, and blood vessels that carry blood away from the heart are called arteries, and the ones that carry blood back to the heart are called veins, and you have them all around your body, and the movement of that blood is called circulation, which you've probably heard before, and your heart is good at it. It only takes 60 seconds to pump blood to every cell in your body. Well, where does that oxygen that's in the blood come from? Well, it comes from your lungs that are part of the respiratory system. We're very grateful for that. Your lungs are the largest organ of the system, and they bring in fresh air. And it comes through your mouth and into your trachea or windpipe, and then into two tubes called bronchs that lead to bronchioles, and these then lead to very important alveoli that are tiny air sacs. There are about 600 million in your lungs, which seems like a lot. And they have mesh-like covering of very small blood vessels that we call capillaries. Maybe you've heard that before. They're very small, and this is where oxygen passes through the walls and into your blood. So very important. And when you breathe in, you provide your blood with the oxygen, and when you breathe out, you're getting rid of the air, the carbon dioxide that is the result of that cellular respiration. And it goes out through your mouth or nose. Lastly, but not leastly, we have our immune system, which you could kind of argue is part of your circulatory system. But your immune system has two major structures, and these are otherwise known as white blood cells. But I'm going to try and say these: phagocytes and lymphocytes, which are responsible for beating off these bad germs that make us sick. So we're very grateful for that. So that's what our immune system does. It protects our body, fights off sickness. That's its function. Okay, so that's a lot of information. Remember, we're just kind of skimming over these body systems, getting to know them. Don't worry, in high school you will take biology and learn even more. So we like to do a assignment at the end of our flip lessons just to help you use this information to do something a little deeper. So you have two choices for your assignment, and these go in your journal, or if you don't have your journal, on a piece of notebook paper. You can either create a comment strip that helps explain one of the things you learned, or write a love poem to one of these systems you learned about, your system. So you could write a love poem to your circulatory system. It could be quite sweet. Or create maybe a funny comic that shows some mean white blood cells beating up those nasty viruses in your body. It's up to you. Make sure to answer the questions on the form so that we know what you understood, and feel free to put any comments in there. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sorry it was long. I'll see you at school. Bye-bye.